Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. So that's what I do for every wedding. I just think, oh, what can I do differently? And I think it's nice to do things differently sometimes. So yeah, don't be afraid. Just get creative. That's the job that we're in. It's a creative job. So you don't have to stick to one rule book.
Jason.
That's a different interesting terrible. Daddy, bye.
Jason, my man.
All right, enough of our names. Are you doing? You all right?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you getting on?
Cracking. Moving flat. We're moving house at some point in the next couple months. So I got a container, and I can't tell you how satisfying this container is. It's like a whole. I don't have a garage because I've also got a flat, but this. I hired a container that can take 4-bedroom house worth. I have 2 bedrooms currently. So I am just utilizing everything in there, and it's like decluttering my mind. I know at some point I'm going to have to deal with that container, but for now, when I'm trying to empty my flat, this is the most satisfying thing ever. I'm just throwing everything in there, and it's become my new best friend.
Yeah, we will probably need to do that as well at some point when we move, because we have so much stuff. I remember when we moved out of we had a 2-bed flat, and bearing in mind this is before kids, just me and Kirsty, quite a small flat, and we filled up, one of the big kind of moving vans, not a bigger than a transit kind of one. We filled that up 1.5 times, and it was full to the brim. We're like, how have we got so much crap?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just so satisfying getting that out of the flat. I'm hearing echoes in the hallway now. But it's I didn't realize how soundproof my hallway was with all the crap that I have.
Well, that's exciting though.
Yeah,
that's exciting. Moving house and stuff. We're going to have to do that at some point this year as well, because we are just running out of space.
There's just never a quiet time in this business though to do it. You think, okay, now I need to paint these walls, I need to into this place, but I also have about 16 minutes to do. So when am I gonna fit all this in? But that's the joys of self-employment.
It is. Well, I guess we announced on the podcast, was it last week, about the TikTok ban?
Yeah.
I think I've edited ceremonies that have lasted longer than the TikTok ban. I stole that one from Matt Johnson.
Matt Johnson, I saw it too. Yeah,
he's so ahead of the curve.
So
when it comes to stuff like that.
I know,
hilarious.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, you may not have listened to this to our last week's podcast before you listened to this one, but last week we dropped the bombshell. Not that the world didn't know, but TikTok was getting banned in America, so it might be time to kind of step up your game with Instagram and YouTube. But of course, as soon as Trump comes in, boom. Back in play. So it literally was down for 8 hours or something like that.
Wild.
So,
but anyway, I think the point still stands. Just make sure you've not got all your eggs in one basket. But we also, speaking of Matt Johnson, obviously we released our third episode, our third Summit special episode. Man, that is a mouthful. Just with Matt Johnson, he was talking all about what he's going to be talking about at the summit. It was a really good conversation. I went back and I listened to it, as I do with pretty much all the pods. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he said that. It was so good. So
it's also really interesting finding out who is Matt came from. Yeah. Who is Matt?
What you really need to ask yourself, man, is who is Matt? I loved it.
It was great. It was great. But obviously, people who are coming to the summit in April, they're going to get a chance to
meet him in the flesh.
Meet in the flesh. Ask him anything you want. He goes to quite a few of these things. So and I know he's always good fun. There's someone from Scotland who I know was in a workshop in America and was hanging out with him this week. Said he was such a blast. So
Lewis.
Lewis. Yeah. So I think it's going to be great. So looking forward to April to meeting him myself.
Yeah, absolutely. However, we do have another corker of an episode lined up for you guys today.
Long overdue.
Very long overdue. We have a special guest on the podcast, a man that is after our Jason's old heart in terms of style and branding.
Don't compare this to Chris Jerome's style. The king of style. This guy is flawless.
Well, Jason said it there. We have Chris Jerome James. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Very excited to be chatting to you on the podcast today. I know Jason is equally as excited.
Likewise.
Yeah, apologies in the offensiveness of the style there, man. Obviously, you don't want to drop this
I'm
level.
coming for the floral shirt, man. I'm coming for it.
So yeah, I guess for our listeners that maybe don't know who you are, you maybe be able to give like a little bit of background about, I guess, like you and your business.
So I'm Chris, or CJ, or Siege. So I've been filming weddings for about 5 years now. Before weddings, I was filming music videos, fashion videos. So I started when I was about 13 filming music videos. So that was kind of like the first time I picked up a camera. And I kind of just fell into weddings a few years ago. Like I'd wanted to get into them for quite a while. So then once I got into them, I feel like I hadn't really watched any other weddings. So I feel like I was just making whatever I just thought a wedding should look like. And here we are now, I guess. 4 years deep.
So obviously, like, I think one of the questions we were going to ask you was essentially like, when you join the wedding industry, a lot of people might just go, okay, so I see a lot of weddings. That's what I kind of need to do. But and then maybe the transition. That definitely was my approach. But obviously, from coming from music videos, fashion videos, and stuff, where a lot of people now get their inspiration from, that's kind of where you thought, yeah, it would be really fun to do this in the wedding format. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like a lot of my inspo probably has come from previous like films and stuff that I've done in fashion and music and things like that. So even now, to be honest, I don't really watch a lot of other people's wedding films. I don't like go, oh, I don't want to watch people's weddings, but it's just not something I go and do. I will once in a while, but I think I get a lot of inspo just from other things and just, I don't know, my crazy brain just pops up with things sometimes. So.
Yeah. I think a lot of people probably like that. Like, they can watch teasers now and again if it comes up, but unless you're like right at the very beginning or you're kind of looking for a transition of style, not many people will sit through a full wedding film from other people just to like, it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll sit through Danny's because he sends me them like every time he's done it.
You're obliged.
Yeah, I'm obliged to watch that. So
I'll test him as well. I'll be like, so what did you think about?
Oh, he'll put in a London black frame
that
deliberately.
Bit in the middle. The no audio.
It's great.
Yeah, the ceremony was great. Oh, there was no ceremony. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was great, man. I mean, that's what was great about it. There was no ceremony. So
yeah, no, I know what you mean though, because it is like you edit obviously that much for your own and stuff, and it can just, you know, I think that sometimes when it can feel like more like work, I guess, like when you're having to like go out and watch. So sorry, Jason, but yeah, no, it is a fair point, because I don't watch. I will watch some, but not a lot. Like you said, it's like the teasers or the short highlight films, like never a feature film or anything.
See, I'll never send Danny any of my film because I know he'll rip it apart, and I'm like, I'm already done with the edit, so I don't want to go in.
You don't want to change it.
I don't want to change it. It's passed my test, so he never gets any of mine.
It's funny though, because obviously like our styles are obviously like probably like opposite ends of like the spectrum. So I remember the first time like watching one of Jason's one, because I'm more like, I don't really like any like major camera shake or like whip pans or anything like that, and then going into one of his edits, I'm like, oh man, I feel dizzy.
It's I see a lot of people online criticize like camera shake and say that it's it's not like proper cinematography, and I just go like, screw your videography, like your cinematography. Like I wanna compose like a sort of a crazy scene, so there's going to be shake in that, and people are
I think it has to be intentional, doesn't it? If you're going to do camera shake and stuff, it's not just because you're being lazy and just walking along with it. You're doing it intentionally.
Yeah,
I feel like when you've got a bit of camera shake and even things like shooting on a bit of a wider angle, I feel like someone watching it makes you feel like you're there.
Yeah,
almost. So that's why I quite like it as well.
Yeah, especially on the dance floor sort of sequences, like those, like a bit of swaying and stuff here and there. You want to be, people want to be taken into that scene, and that can do it. Obviously, like during the ceremony, if you're kind of going like this, like that's an intimate moment. Like there's not an earthquake happening.
Yeah, I guess it depends on obviously like the viewpoint from it as well, doesn't it? Because if it's a little bit lower down, it can kind of feel like you're maybe like a guest at the wedding, like looking at it. Because I think what was I watching the other day, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, that is kind of like why they done that. I kind of knew that anyway, but it was like somebody was like looking through the window from like the outside, so that's when they had the camera shake to make it feel as if it's like they're outside, kind of thing.
Shivering.
Just creeping about. So yeah, like you said, intentional for like a purpose, which your stuff is, to be fair. It's just obviously it's just quite different to me. Whereas I would be like, maybe can we add a bit of work to that? Yeah.
So obviously, you've been doing this for about 5 years. Would you say it's fairly consistent from 5 years ago to today, or has there been any sort of like growth with that? Like, how has your style changed or evolved in any way?
Do you know what? I feel like luckily I feel like I found my style quite early. So within the first year that I was getting weddings, I think I was quite lucky with my couples. I think I had really good couples. They were just really fun, really easygoing, just wanted to have a good time and just wanted a bit of a fun video. So I feel like once you've got those, you can add those to your portfolio, and then the couples in the future, they're going to see that, and then they're going to come to you wanting that as well. I think it does take a bit of experimenting as well. Like my first wedding film was nothing like what I do now. It was a bit slower, and but then the second wedding I had, that was like a TP one. Dance floor was crazy. Like, so I just experimented more with like editing styles and made it a little bit more fun. And then over time, it just gradually, you find your feet a bit more, don't you?
Yeah, I think definitely getting the right couples leans into it. And I would say I can kind of empathize with that. Like at the beginning, the couples that I advertised to kind of what the traditional sort of style, but then there was a traditional wedding that just couldn't put something slow and romantic over that because everyone was going crazy. So like you just kind of lean into that. It definitely helped having you adapted to the wedding day. You're editing it in a way. I mean, that's the way I like to approach it. Is you're editing it in a way that truly reflects what the day was. And I think everyone has different interpretations of how weddings day are to them. But that's definitely what I find with yours. I think people can often think that you're just deliberately putting your stamp on something, but it's definitely about adapting to it. Whatever.
Yeah. I feel like you can't force anything, can you? Like if the day wasn't fun, there was no one on the dance floor, no one smiled. Like you can't fake that.
Yeah.
So I'm just filming like as the day was, everyone having a good time, and just editing in that same style, upbeat, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't force it, can you?
Yeah, I guess just to sort of wrap up the whole like about you thing. If anyone hasn't watched any of your films, if we were a couple meeting you at like a wedding show or something like that, how would you describe who you are and what as a filmmaker?
I mean, I'd say they're very unique. Like each film is very different. So like some of the films you might have seen, like sometimes I'll use like movie snippets for the intros. So one of them I used Back to the Future as one of the little intros, and then he was like doing the guitar and stuff on the dance floor. So that's why I used it, and that was like his favorite film or something. One of the other ones I used a scene from The Matrix as the intro, because the guy he was absolutely in love with Keanu Reeves.
Amazing.
So I'd definitely say unique, because I feel every single one of them is different and personalized, and just fun, upbeat, cool. Yeah. That's the only way I can describe them, really.
Yeah, 100%. Essentially, if you haven't seen one of Chris's films before, get on it, because they just ooze fun.
Yeah, they are fun.
Super fun.
But like that is the word I would describe them as, like fun. Same with your ones, like they're just fun. Like you're watching them and you just got like a permanent smile on your face, So
yeah,
it's just what you want.
I love the movie references. I want to do way more of that in the future. And I think that comes down to like kind of the questions and stuff you ask them beforehand in terms of like getting to know the couple and stuff like that. I'm going completely off script with the questions. I can see that, but it's just my mind just going like, oh right, I want to know this and stuff like that. So I guess it's on that. Like, I mean, I'll just jump ahead. Screw it. Because it's natural flow. Like when obviously like these couples love movies and stuff. Like, what's your pre-wedding game in terms of like getting information from them?
Do you know what? Pre-wedding, I feel like I don't maybe get as much info as I should, but I feel like a lot of the info that I get, I think, is definitely on the day and just their wedding, and because obviously you spend a lot of time with them, you chat to them on the day as well. You see things like on their tables and like the decor and stuff like that. So I feel like you can get a good vibe of kind of who they are and what they're into on the day as well. So these things like of me putting the films at the start, I didn't know this prior to the day. All like the Back to the Future one, he was just on the dance floor giving it all the guitar.
Yeah.
And then the bride was like, oh yeah, he loves Back to the Future. That's like one of our favorite films. Then like the Matrix one, I only realized he loved Keanu Reeves because they had a 6-foot size Keanu Reeves there on the day.
I was wondering if they had like Keanu Reeves name tables or something like that, like different characters he's been.
So it's only until on the day, to be honest, that I kind of see these things, and then I'm like, do you know what? That'd be quite good in the film. But pre-wedding though, we'll always have like a video call and get to know each other, kind of on the surface level and stuff like that, and have kind of a bit of a chit chat. But a lot of it comes down to on the day and seeing how their day is and adding bits of that into the film.
Yeah, a lot of the time at weddings, you can get like, you know, one half of the partner, like it's all their influence, and then maybe like the groom gets a Star Wars sort of like signing book or something like that, and you realize, oh, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So Star Wars is definitely important to one of them, and if you could just fit in some reference or something like that, it's so it's definitely worth paying attention to what's happening on the day if you don't have all the information beforehand.
Absolutely, because you get so much from the day, don't you? Like more than you ever get from just like a video call, because you're connecting with them so much more than just like a face over a screen, and you get like way more cues on stuff. So, yeah. One thing I wanted to dive into was, because I think if you look at your website, which is awesome. Like so good. I don't even know where to begin with it, but like the branding is like so spot on for like the style of film that you create. Because again, the whole website's just so fun. Like how did you go about that kind of like journey with when it came to the branding? I'm assuming you had a branding designer, or have you done that all yourself? Yeah.
I bet they had a field day with you,
Just
man.
me.
Okay. Well, you done it. You done it.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. What? Oh, wow. That's fantastic. So obviously,
Shut the front door.
Music director, music video director, fashion video director, web designer. Are you free
I know, right?
next month?
Have you done that all yourself?
So I had the idea. It just popped. I was sitting there editing one day, and I was thinking, I should probably update my website. And then the idea just popped into my head. Oh, what if I did it like a Netflix homepage and having all the things like that? So then I spent the next week just trying to figure it out, making all of it. Like it took quite a while.
I can imagine.
But I'm glad I did it, because I do feel like if I was a couple and I went onto there and I saw that, I'd be like, this is so fucking cool.
It's
like, what?
It's ridiculously cool. I remember seeing it today from across the room, and Danny was on the website, and I was like, oh, what website is that? It looks like Netflix, right? Because I saw the numbers and like the top 5 today. And then I go and I'm like, shut the front door. That's his website. and then it was like everyone do yourself a favor. If listen to this podcast just now, pause this podcast and go to Chris Jerome, go to Chris's website, and you'll see the Wedflix section. And it's not just like clips in order to look at that. You've got like you've got PG ratings. It's
contains references, sexual references, and copious amounts of alcohol.
It's ridiculously good and super creative. And I'm absolutely delighted that you've done that yourself. Like that's phenomenal. Like, because there's like brand design folk that wouldn't be able to come up with half of that. Yeah. I think you're just again, like if you think about it as like a client coming onto your website, like that website is memorable. Like, you know, there's no way that you're going to forget your website after going onto it. I think when you look at so many different people's website where they can be quite samey and more kind of like generic, that sticks out massively. Obviously for good reason.
Yeah, something for them to remember, because you want them to come on, and I guess a lot of couples will just go through 10, 20, 30 videographers just looking at people, won't they?
Yeah.
So you do want something that stands out and that's going to stay in their brain and just be like, oh yeah, remember that one that looked like Netflix, you know? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
No, it's class.
On the Webflix page, I noticed that you've got like posters of the movies that you did for them. Is that something you do for every couple?
I do now.
Yeah, that's fun.
Before I made the Wedflix thing,
Yeah.
I wasn't really doing that. But now that I've made the Wedflix thing, I was like, oh yeah, I should try and make like movie posters and stuff like that.
Kind of need to.
Which I have quite a lot of fun doing though.
That's good
it's
fun.
really fun.
Yeah, that's way better than just sending like a thumbnail. Like I kind of almost want to steal the idea in my own way, but I'm terrible at graphic design, so you haven't got anything to worry about.
But that's where it becomes like, I guess with somebody booking with you though, that's where it becomes part of the experience. You know, that's like, you know, that's another thing about the experience of you having a wedding film with you. Because I know I'd be like, oh, look at our movie poster, like, oh. You know,
because rather than
put
just
it on the Netflix, you know,
rather than just naming it the couple's name, it's like, you know, there's a couple on there saying is it Stabbers got married or something?
Stabby.
Yeah, Stabby. Yeah, Stabby got
married. So they were Stabby.
Yeah. So like, just rather than just having a couple's name as the name, you can come up with some sort of creative name for the film of something that happened in it. So
exactly. Yeah, which is what I try and do as well. And when I I deliver the films on my website as well, actually. So I'll make like a Wedflix page. So I'll have the main video will be like their highlight. Well, it'll be like a teaser film. So it'll be like, you know, when you go onto Netflix, you've kind of got a teaser of a film.
Yeah.
It's got kind of like the info and then more info, press play, that kind of thing. And then underneath I'll have like highlight film ceremony, speeches, teaser under it. And then you'll have all like the details, the age thing as well. And so I do that for every couple now, and I find that really good, and it's just a nice creative way to deliver the films now as well. So I'm really glad that I've kind of just stumbled upon that and been able to deliver them like that now.
I think it's just something again that's different, because I know if it was me, I'd be like showing my pals, look, my movie poster, you know,
because
which is class. It's so good, man.
I've got a film I'm about to deliver that was shot in Glencoe in Scotland. I've got a great shot of Glencoe, and I know in the portrait session I had the couple looking off in the distance, and I just want to put them in the sky above Glencoe, looking off in the distance, something like a Brokeback Mountain type movie.
So what is the website built on then?
Wix.
Is it Wix? Is it? Aye. No, there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, if that's what you're doing with Wix, like.
I mean,
a very talented
I've just
man.
heard how bad Wix is just for things like SEO and just the backside of things on Wix.
Wix seems to get quite a bad rap, but see, if you remember when I was dancing between first and second with you, that was a Wix site.
Yeah, I mean,
I was first in Glasgow, jumping between first and second between me and him.
And I had a fully coded website on WordPress.
I had a Wix site.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely some things that get bad reps, but it's generally because people don't know how to use them. I think like Wix, you could go in, and my first website was made on Wix. Now that was embarrassing. That was atrocious. Obviously, I thought it was looking good. I would never have called that. It just shows that, you know, like a web builder can utilize a purpose. And of course, SEO is one thing, but that's not necessarily the be all and end all. I'm not sure there's many people that would say that they get majority of their inquiries from Google.
No.
Is that where's the majority of your inquiries coming from?
At the moment, ads.
Yeah.
I was going to laugh if you said Google.
I saw him shaking his head, and I was like, I'm going to rephrase this if I need to edit it. But
actually, Google ads. Ads like meta ads like Facebook, Instagram mainly.
Yeah. So like it just shows, like, even on a platform where Wix maybe doesn't have, because it's got a lot going on in the back end, so the websites tend to be slower, which is what Google doesn't necessarily prefer to be on top. But how important is that if your website is doing a job for you and communicating who you are and what it is you want to do? Then I
guess at the end of the day, it's your portfolio.
100%.
It's just your CV. So as long as people just find it, then
because I think if we think about, and I guess it's very similar to Jason in terms of like not similar branding, but you're putting out the similar message to clients to say, it's almost like I want to put off the ones that want maybe that like traditional wedding film, and I want the ones that want this fun, energetic film. And I know it works really well for you, because generally with the leads that you get, you've got a very high conversion rate Is that similar with yourself? Like in terms of like the ones that do inquire, they tend to book, kind of thing.
I mean, I still get ghosted a lot.
Yeah,
for
Like
sure.
a lot
I
of
do.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you send your price and then they're like, oh, okay.
To be fair,
See you later.
that's going to happen when it's through ads. I can imagine. Ads is definitely going to.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah, I mean, I do have like starting price on my website, which I never used to do. I actually didn't have prices at all on there, but I do now. So it kind of filters out the people that are going to be like, oh, actually, I've only got £1,000, I can't afford you. So it's good it's good in that sense. But it does, you know, having like the website and like the ads and stuff. It does, like when people inquire, they'll be like, yeah, we found you because we wanted someone that was a bit different, something that was fun. So I'm getting the right people through the door. And yeah, someone wants a traditional film, they're probably going to see my thing and be like, actually, no, I don't like that. You know.
I actually read a thread last night. I know we were talking about threads last week and how I get relevant content. This is an example of that, where it was someone who's begging photographers and videographers to put their starting price on their website because they don't know what this costs and they're just trying to get an idea. And there was an argument going on online about why we don't do it, or, you know, why people should do it. And yours was the first example of one where that's a nice place to put it, because it's just in the subtext of the inquiry form where it's like, what's your budget? And you say prices are starting from here. I don't know how many people will then just go, that's my budget. But whatever you say starting is from here. But that's a nice way to kind of do it. I think it's just kind of placed in there. They're already kind of through the form, and they get an idea is that, okay, this is what we're initially going to be investing. So it's
You said that prior to that you didn't have your price on your website. What made you put it on, the starting price?
I think I was still getting a lot of people that were getting in touch and saying their budget was under £1,000 or, and I feel like sometimes there's nothing wrong with that, because I have had people say their budget is £1,000 and then they've booked me for £2,500. So sometimes you can convert them people if they really love your work. That's what I believe. I feel like if people really love your work that much, somehow they'll find the budget
make it work.
Yeah.
to get you, to make it work.
That's the reason. I think that's the reason for my advocacy for not having prices on the website. Generally, like if I speak to people and they ask for like my advice on that matter, I will say just remove them, because I know for me certainly, if I know I've like that, I've booked people that I know that haven't initially had that budget, but I know after me speaking with them or opening up that line of communication with them that I can get them to maybe change the decision from being like a rational one to like an emotional one. And then they make it work, kind of thing. But if you've got the prices on there, they're just going to, without any connection whatsoever, they're just going to go, nope, next,
Yeah, a lot of people will go onto blogs and stuff and find out like, oh, what's the average price of a wedding videographer? And unfortunately, these articles are usually inaccurate because they're
yet to see one that's even remotely.
I think they're usually populated by the large sort of whatever you call them.
Bridebook's one. Did you remember seeing the Bridebook one? Like the Bridebook one, I think was it last year? And there was outrage in the videography community because it said like the average price for a wedding videographer in the UK was like £700.
I think it was even less than that.
Yeah.
You're joking.
No, it was so bad. And then I think there was a bunch of people that had like got in touch with Bridebook, and I think they changed it, but they didn't put it up by much, to be honest.
And they get their information from the suppliers that go on that, and a lot of them are kind of either new people or people who shoot massively and just get students to kind of come in. So a lot of their suppliers were sitting about £500-600 for that. And of course, the majority of us don't actually go on there and populate that with what we're actually charging. So that's what they're getting their data from, rather than, maybe going through and actually asking videographers. So people are just going online asking that. And because we don't have our prices on our website, they may just put a budget of £1,000 because we're not going to say £5,000. Like it's, we don't know what our budget is. And so I think that's where the conversions can come in. So even if someone does say the budget is 1,000, it can be converted. It can be a bit of a shock to the system sometimes, but when the value is kind of explained, then it might make more sense. And of course, if they're just at the start of their inquiry process and they go through a few people and realize, okay, this is actually what the average is, that's when they can base their decision there.
I think you guys are in like a fortunate position as well, though, whereby because your styles are like so unique, there isn't that there's not many other options to like look at in terms of, obviously there is some that has a similar style, but the let's say the pool of like people that they can, that if that's the kind of style that client wants, that pool of filmmakers is a hell of a lot smaller.
Exactly,
and also like it's totally warranted, like with the edits that you both do, you can see the amount of time that goes into it. It's like warranted for like that higher price as well.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly. I think some people might just inquire with a different style because they're curious as to it, and then maybe kind of go, oh, you know what? Actually, I just want a safety for my wedding. I just want it to be nice and neat. But I was curious about your ads. Obviously, I know a lot of people try ads. I'm currently doing it just now. I had a mess up last week, which I'm learning, and I think I've got a system now.
I saw it about the elderly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're loving it. They are loving it.
You.
Yeah, they are loving it, man.
He's looking for a cougar.
Yeah, I've got the average age down to 55 now, so we're good. We're getting there.
You're looking at divorcees.
Second time discounts, yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of getting there, I think. But how long have you been doing ads for? Like, what's your success? Can you talk to us a little bit about what your ad process is?
First of all, we'll be right back with you after this ad break. Let's be real. Delivering your wedding films by USB, that's outdated.
We use VidFlow, the sleekest platform for delivering your wedding films. It makes your couples feel like they've got their own private Netflix.
Plus, with their white labeling service, you can customize everything from the branding to your own custom domain to make it super personal.
Want to wow your clients? Use the code TWVP10 for 10% off any of the pro plans, including the white label service.
Head on over to vidflow.co
and level up your wedding film delivery experience. Let's talk about backlog. Editing piles up fast and it's overwhelming.
That's why we use brideandgroom.video, a wedding film editing service that creates stunning wedding films faster without compromising on quality.
They match your unique style, so you still feel like you've made them, and the process is super simple.
Use the code TWVP75 to get £75 off your first order and try out their service.
Clear your backlog and grow your business. Visit brideandgroom.video today.
Hasta la vista, backlog.
So I started doing ads properly in September last year. So it's been, 4 months.
Okay.
So I just kind of, do you know what? I just went onto a YouTube video and I was like, how to set them up? Because obviously there's a lot of options and stuff to fill out. Like if I just went on there first time, I'd be like, what do I do? So I did a YouTube video how to do it and stuff. And the video I did, I think is about 10 to 15 seconds, just short clips, probably about 15 to 20 clips in there. You know, fun, upbeat music on there. There was no text on there at all. It was just the text underneath, like on the caption. So how much did I do? I think it's £10 a day. And it's been going really well, honestly. I think 95% of my leads now are coming from those ads.
Yeah.
Because it might just be because people are seeing it and they're seeing like a faster, upbeat version of like wedding films. So people are seeing that and being like, oh yeah, what's this? And they'll click on it, and so it's maybe a bit more eye-catching. So maybe that's the thing of people doing ads is you need good content there. Like the video needs to be good. It needs to be something that's going to grab people. Whereas if it's something that maybe it's going on for a bit too long, people are just going to click off of it, you know? So
well, that's paramount.
I think that's probably a key thing.
Yeah, that's paramount. Because I think if we think about it, we know that everybody's attention span is like, I think it's officially worse than goldfish. So, you know, I think as well, it probably helps like with because your actual, like your grade on your films is also quite unique and different to what the majority of the market is. So it is eye-catching from that point of view as well. But yeah, having good content is like paramount for the ad to work, because you can't just, you know, which I think a lot of people do when they first start experimenting with ads, is they maybe make a really good teaser. It gets a lot of likes or whatever. So they just go, boom, I'll boost that post. And we know that that is obviously not A, the best use of funds, and B, it's not going to get you the traction that you want. I think it's interesting as well that you said like in terms of like your spend per day, because I think for a lot of people, myself included here, when I first started kind of like playing about with ads, I'm not sure if I would have jumped straight to £10 a day because it seems like quite a lot. Because, you know, if you look at it and you put the ad, you know, the ad on, you're looking at, okay, so if I do that for, 10 days, right, okay, that's quite a bit longer.
It does add up.
It does add up. However, if you get the return from it, then it's worth it, you know. And
that was my thinking. I was like, okay, £10 a day, what's that? 4 grand a year.
Yeah.
So you know, you could just, you know, like what one or so bookings is going to cover that. So I'm
You'd
just
have
doing one booking for free for the year, and then getting 10 or 20 or whatever bookings to make up for that.
Yeah, for
That's
a £2 grand
my
booking,
thought process.
you'd have to do it for 200 days without making a booking.
Mm-hmm.
In that perspective, it doesn't sound like a lot.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And this is where obviously we've got the summit coming up in April, and this is like one of the things that we have Michaela from Get It Together that's going to be talking to people about, like trying to get them to alleviate the fear of starting with ads, because I think there is, you know, and even with me at the minute, like just going onto that interface and going,
Yeah.
what did I do here?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a bit overwhelming.
I've been doing ads since the 11th of January, and I've had a slightly different approach to you. They need, you know,
Yes,
they can't,
Jason.
they can't have their hips in place. I need metal hips only. But so I've used basically re-edited, repurposed like 10 teasers of mine from the year, which are quite, you know, they are quite fast paced anyway. So repurpose them into a vertical format and then put a little intro in the beginning, which kind of just got a bunch of glitch graphics. So it catches your attention immediately. And I kind of use them. I've had a bit more of a budget because I've been doing a lead ad, a traffic ad, and then an Instagram only ad, because I realized my first 2 ads were only getting placed on Facebook because they were the more return, that you get more clicks for Facebook for some reason. How is your placement going? Is it focused only on Instagram, or are you doing it on Facebook as well?
And I'm doing both, so Facebook and Instagram, just all of them.
It's amazing how many people see it on Facebook.
I've not looked at where it goes to more, to be honest. I should probably look into the analytics of it. But to be honest, no one gets in touch and they're like, "Oh, I found you on Facebook."
Mm-hmm.
So I might look at removing Facebook and just doing them all on Instagram now, to be honest, because everyone's saying, "Oh, I saw you on Instagram."
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely, like, since the 11th, it's been going pretty well. I have spent a little bit more money. I think I'm probably over the 3 campaigns, probably spending about £40 a day on it, which it definitely adds up. But I've had, it's now 9 days and I've had 20 leads from it. So yeah, and at least 18 of them are, at least 2 of them are in their 30s. So it's great. But so it definitely
You
works.
had 2 leads.
Yeah, two leads. Yeah, I mean, hey, so those nursing homes, they need something to kind of keep them going.
It's so funny, but this is it, and like this is the thing, right? Obviously, we're laughing at Jason's like mistake here, and I obviously find it terribly funny. But this is all like part of the process of like learning, what works and what doesn't work, and it's about trial and error and experimentation, even when it comes down to everything from your wedding films to also like how you're doing your ads. And it's also like, I think for most people it'll take like a few different variations of like that ad to before you maybe get one that, okay, this one's working. And I guess you're like a prime example here of like when you get it working, it works, and you're getting like lead volume from it. I think that's really interesting that is where you get the majority of your leads now from.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something I keep going throughout the year, not to the extent I'm doing it just now, but that's me just spending money to figure out what works. But that's a good technique. I might try and come up with some shorter videos that are just really catchy. Yeah, and just a tenner a day is easy marketing money.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah, I think it works. I mean, for me, I'll get like 1 a day.
Yeah,
which, I mean, if I'm converting 1 out of even 10 or something, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
100%.
For the amount you're spending. As long as I'm getting one wedding in, like I've kind of pretty much covered
Yeah.
my ads for the year. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I think about it. It's not always, because before I was doing ads, I think a lot of people were just finding me through either recommendations on Instagram. When I first started, a few 4 or 5 years ago, the majority of my bookings were coming through Bark. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, Bark, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I was getting the majority of my leads for the first year of my bookings. That's pretty much how I got about 20 bookings in my first year.
Wow.
Obviously, I was only charging about $1,000 then. So
Yeah.
I think it works if you're cheaper bulk.
Yeah.
If you're charging double that, triple that, then I'd say probably not.
That's
you have
when
to pay for your leads as
pay
well.
for your leads, yeah.
So-
That's right, yeah. But I suppose that's no
So you've got
different to
pay for
advertising.
credits, and then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say if someone was starting out, I'd say look into Bark. I feel like it's a good way to get some portfolio weddings as well. Even if you're not going to charge for them, or you're just going to charge like 500 quid or whatever, just to start out, just to get a few.
Yeah.
Then, because you can pick and choose the ones you want as well.
Yeah.
If there's one that sounds a bit, I mean, boring, but like one that you maybe don't want as much, like you want a certain wedding for your portfolio, then I think just go for it. Just like charge little, because people will buy it as well on
Yeah.
there.
No,
But I'd say if
100%.
you're charging more, I wouldn't do it.
It's definitely a good starting point because Bark is usually quite high up on the SEO for Google as well. They do usually advertise like the videographers. I think I saw an advert for them saying videographers all day service from like 300 quid or something like that, which was like, oh, okay, no, I'll avoid that. But I do know that people know that that's obviously just an advertising thing, and if you're the right fit for them, especially at a lower price point, if you are just starting out, it's a great thing for that. But don't be afraid to spend money to get work.
I was also on Hitched as well.
Yeah.
You know Hitched?
I'm still on Hitched. I'm still on it. Like, and I've had 10 inquiries from it this month. Actually, no,
Right, okay.
I tell a lie, 11. I got, and I think we talked about it earlier on, like, so I in one of the earlier pods, but I had, so I hadn't had a booking off of Hitched for, I think it was over a year, because I'd put my prices up that much. Like, I had a lot of success with Hitched between the price point of like 1,300 and 1,800. Like, I got like 20 grand of work from it, like, in my, halfway through my second year, I think, on it. So it was good. But then it dried up as soon as I got past like 2.5 grand. And then, and yeah, now I've had like 11 leads from it. And then last year I had two bookings from it that equated to basically like about 8 grand. But both of those were I think one of them was Canadian and one of them was American, or they were both American. So they were both from overseas. And even like some of the leads that I've had this month, I think 3 of them have been from Australia, 2 of them have been from the US. So I think the people when they're abroad, be that in the US or Australia, because they have no local knowledge, they will go onto sites like that to have a look. And if you are good, you will stand out from maybe some of the other ones that are generally on there.
So are you on the premium, the like, was it gold or something listing, or
It's just the premium one, so I pay £30 a month for it. So like the way I look at it,
it's
really not much.
Yeah, because I was on the gold one, or premium, whatever it was, the higher one where you get put at the top, and it was just so much money. I wasn't getting as much as I feel like I should have been getting from it.
No,
because it was about 150 quid a month for something stupid like that. Yeah.
The way I look at it is
lot.
for 30 quid a month, it's worth a punt, and especially like if I look at it like last year about getting obviously like those 2 bookings that equated to that much money, like that's covered me to just stay on it for as long as I want now, really, to be honest. So I always encourage people to not. A lot of people kind of like stick their nose up at it and kind of like get quite caught up about how they will maybe get leads from it, but then they don't reply. But I think that's also the way that Hitched is set up. Is if somebody goes on to, like, for instance, your profile and inquires with you, and we're in the same area, it'll come up as soon as they've inquired with you, with like a box with like 5 other suppliers that all they need to click is one button
right.
to inquire, so they don't even get to look at your price or where you start from. So
Right, okay.
I think just not getting terribly caught up with the fact that they don't like that they ghost you, and just, you know, continue to update your profile and put a wee bit of effort into your profile, I think also goes a long way. But it's still worth it. Definitely still worth it.
Yeah. I think there's so many different ways you can get bookings, can't you? Recommendations, ads, organic on Instagram, being like recommended at venues, you know, things like that. I'm not actually recommended at any venues, but I talk to a lot of people who are. But so I'm going to be recommended on 2 now because I spoke to some of the planners from a venue a while ago, so they're going to put me on theirs. But there's so many different avenues to go down for bookings, isn't there? So I feel like you can't put all your eggs in one basket, can you?
No.
You do have to put them everywhere, because you'll get leads from here, there, everywhere. So
April 1st, 2025 in Glasgow. Summit's happening.
Summit is happening. Head on over to twvp.co.uk/summit to book your spot.
You're not going to want to miss this.
You are not. Go get 'em. We'll maybe just have a quick chat, I guess, through the kit that you use and like your packages and price point as well, because I always find that that's like super interesting to talk through. So first of all, I have noticed you are a panny man, a Lumix
I'm
man.
a panny man.
Yes. So I think we said there, so you use the S1H and the S5, is it the Mark 1?
Yep. So I've got 2 S1Hs
Nice.
and 1 S5 Mark 1. And I shoot on Sigma glass as well, Sigma lenses.
Nice.
So I find them super sharp. They're well built. Like I've literally dropped one before whilst running along the road. It fell out of my pocket and dropped it, and absolutely fine. So I mean, like they're built like a brick wall.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What kind of focal lens are we talking?
So I've got 24,
Yeah.
50, 85, but my main lens I shoot on all day is the 24 to 70.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you. So
So I do like a little bit of a like crash zoom sometimes.
Are they the 1 point? Is it the 1.4s for the primes?
No, the primes are 1.4,
Yeah.
1.8 maybe.
Okay.
And the 24 to 70 is 2.8.
Yeah. Yeah. So that I use that Sigma 24 to 70. I've been shooting more primes recently, but yeah, I have been eyeing up because obviously the Sigma glass is cheaper, but it's really nice glass as well. So I have been eyeing up the 1.4 Sigmas, which I'll need to.
Yeah, so they're my go-to in the evening on the dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use the 24 to 70 in the day, and then when it gets darker and gets into the evening, I'll switch to the 24 1.4, because it's just, I mean, on the Lumix I can only go up to like 4,000, maybe 5,000-6,000 ISO. So that the 2.8 is just, it's not cutting it unless I use a light. So I'll just rock the 24 1.4.
And are you using are you shooting in log?
Yeah, vlog. Yeah. So, I feel like vlog's good. You get a bit more like dynamic range and stuff, and a lot more flexibility in post to color grade. And then you've got the native ISO as well. I'm used to 640 and 4,000, so they'll give you the least amount of grain basically, which is really good.
So will you push that? Will you push that 4,000? Did you say up to 6,000 sometimes? What is it, 6,400?
If I really have to,
Yeah.
I hate doing it. But
Yeah.
if I have to, I'll go to 6,400.
Yeah.
But above that, you're just going to see a little bit too much grain, unless you're going for that look. But yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit too much when you get past that, I find. I've also kind of like found, just from speaking to like, I guess some other kind of people on the kind of like the vlog side of things, which was like in some situations to maybe just not shoot in vlog and just revert back to the natural profile. Because I shot a wedding the tail end of the year, and there wasn't a lot of natural light, and I kind of wish I'd just kind of wish I'd just switched over to the natural profile at one point, because that's generally what I had been shooting up until recently, and then I kind of switched over to vlog, and I have been enjoying it. But I just find like when there isn't that natural light, you're kind of not just you're not getting the benefit of the vlog anyway, you know. So I've kind of just
I think that's true, and I think there's nothing wrong with shooting in like the natural or like even the Rec 709. You know, I think especially if you're not like a great color grader either.
yeah.
I feel like it's definitely just safer to just play it in there. Like, there's nothing wrong with shooting it. You get a bit more benefits with vlog, but you know, your footage is still going to look good, and put a nice grade on it.
Yeah, and it still grades quite well, the natural profile, to be fair. Like it's not like it falls apart. You can still put a nice grade on it, and it's still, you know, I had people that even shoot in vlog and say, "Oh, you're shooting vlog, don't you?" They're like, no, shooting the natural profile. But I have been enjoying it. It was we were on that Ireland trip, and back in October, and Russell Kent Nichols was there, and I was like, right, Russell, show me how I'm getting the best out of this camera. And it was class, and I've kind of shot that ever since. But I think for me, for like my workflow, I think what I probably will do is pretty much from the spring until maybe like October-ish time, I'll probably shoot in vlog, and then from like October, unless it warrants it, but I think from maybe like October in through in the winter months, I'll probably revert back to the natural profile.
That's a good plan.
Yeah. I noticed during your sort of speeches and stuff, you're obviously handheld for the main things. Do you offer like ceremony and speeches as part of the edits, or are you just sort of capturing them? Like, I think you've got at least one stationary, and you're just kind of going around handheld capturing the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the package, I guess going back to the packages then. So usually I offer the highlight film, which is anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. So that's like the main. That's the main reason people will kind of want a film that's made by me is for that. I'll offer like a teaser as well, which is up to about 30 seconds, and then ceremony and speeches in full as well. So usually, I don't usually do weddings on my own. So usually I'll have a second shooter, which is 90% of the time my wife. She's been coming for years now, trained her up and all of that. But no, she's great. So things like the ceremony and speeches, she'll be on the tripod somewhere else, getting an angle. I'll usually, for speeches and ceremony, I'll either be on a monopod, or I'll have my camera strap on, and it's a heavy old thing, but I'll put it around my neck so that it's just stable, and I can move around and stuff. And then I'll have another camera on a tripod set up somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I'll have two to three cameras set up for angles, and then I can just kind of float around and freestyle.
Yeah. I think it's way more dynamic having ceremony speeches where you've got, like, it's not like a static shot. It's, you know, either through the audience, or it's kind of it just looks way more dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's you have. I think if you've got a second shooter, it makes doing that a hell of a lot easier than if you're doing it solo. Yeah, because I think like there's so many things to watch out and think about when you're shooting solo. But if you know that you've got somebody on a camera that's always getting a nice clean shot, then it allows you that freedom, that creative freedom to go, okay, like what can I do here that's maybe a little bit different, shooting through guests and stuff like that. And I know that that's when I will try and get like a little bit more kind of like creative with some of the shots, like shooting through gaps between people and stuff. But I think when you're shooting solo, it can be quite difficult chucking that into the mix as well. You know? Can be done though. Some people do
definitely,
it.
Because you definitely need. I mean, for me, like I don't like shooting weddings alone now, because I know that things like the ceremony, and I'm just going to struggle. I'm just going to be on my camera. I'm going to be worrying like, oh, is that still recording? Is that in focus? Like, you know, because I like getting things like the guests, like even like when the couple have a kiss and then the guests are clapping. I like to get a shot of that. So I know that Jess is on another camera. I'll give her the eyes, be like, all right, yeah, just get the guests like clapping, and then because I'll have a shot like maybe down the aisle of them, and then there's a different shot of like guests clapping, or just another angle of something else, or whatever it is. It's that peace of mind so that you can have the flexibility to get more creative shots.
That is the biggest, like one of the biggest fears I face every ceremony, because I love that shot of the parents clapping as soon as they kiss, because you don't really get to see it often, and they definitely won't get to see it. because they'll be kissing each other. So, and I'm like convinced about, because I mainly shoot solo. So I know that at least, like, I'm trying to think that there's 2 cameras that can at least see them. Hopefully they've got it. And like, I'll maybe, like, knowing when the kiss is coming, I'll run up to the back and go, okay, it's good for now. If anything happens in the next 30 seconds, we're screwed. But I really want to get that shot, the people clapping. I just think it's such a cool, it's
just when you see like a kid like at the corner of your eye getting ever so closer to the tripod, and you're like,
but you see, like, the one time where it hasn't worked for me, I think I've told the story like maybe really early on in the podcast, but like the celebrant walked in front of one of the cameras, because at that point I used to have my cameras at the front. Now I always have them at the back. The celebrant walked in front of one of the cameras that caught them kissing, and the other camera was kicked when a chair was put back, and it knocked it. So the kiss was screwed because I was getting the clap. So I got the celebrant to like say, like, when they were signing the schedule, saying, "First kiss was great. Just get him to do it again, like, just like, the first kiss was great. Just one more time, just for for good time's sake." The bastard called me out. And he said, like, all right, so everyone, the first case was great, but Jason missed it, so we're going to do it again. And I was like,
No.
can't believe it, man. So, yeah, called me out.
God.
But, yeah, deserved.
She didn't have to do you dirty like that.
He did me dirty, bastard.
you need to tell me who that was off air.
He knows exactly who he was.
Does he listen?
I don't know, man. But, yeah, you know who you are.
Yeah, it's I hate it because some celebrants do that just by default. So they go, so just in case the photographer missed it, and they generally don't say the videographer, thankfully. But I know there's one that does it all the time, and every time I've worked with a photographer, they're just like, just staring at them like, why are you making me look like a dick?
I don't know how to do my job.
So you said that's obviously your kind of like main. Is that the main package that everybody books you for?
So I do 2 packages. So the first package is just the highlight film,
Right.
and a teaser, because a lot of people aren't bothered about having the ceremony speeches.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say like, I can't stand my voice, and I don't really want to hear it all back, which is perfectly fine. So the first package would be just the highlight film and the teaser, and the next package up would be highlight film, teaser, ceremony, and speeches.
Got you.
Obviously, I'm super flexible though. If someone comes to me and they want a different film, or they just want the speeches or something, then we can just customize it and work it out. So someone asked me this before about like longer like documentary films and that kind of thing, like even like a half an hour film, and they were saying, "Oh, would you do it?" And I was like, I just don't know. I just don't know if I'd be able to do it, because for me, what I love doing is making the highlight films, the shorter ones.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, doing like a half an hour film, I just don't know what I'd do with it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to offer it, and I'm like almost half-assing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes you need to just stick to what you're good at.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky one. If someone came and asked for it, I'd maybe say yes and try it out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not something I'd like add to my packages, because I think I've found what works for me, what the couples want and stuff. But I see a lot of people offering like a 5-minute film, a 10-minute film, and a 20-minute, and I'm just thinking like there's not much difference, is there? In that time, I guess. So sometimes I offer, or sometimes people ask for like raw footage, and I don't mind doing that as long as they don't post it. So I'll just say, I can send you the raw footage, like just all of it, just on a hard drive. Charge them a bit of money for it, because it takes time to do it, send it off by the hard drive and all of that. But just they can't post it, because if people are posting raw vlog footage and stuff on their Insta and they're tagging me, people will be like, "Oh, what's this black and white grey film doing?" Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's not really kind of showcasing your work in the best light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I let it on if people want it, but it's not something I put in my packages like, "Oh, you can add on more footage." It's just if people say that they'd like it, then I'll be like, okay.
I recently added mine into my top package with the raw footage. Because I've got 3 packages now, 2 that I kind of mainly advertised, and the third one, like, once they inquire kind of thing. And there's like it's like everything in that package. Raw footage is part of it, to be fair. Get a couple of bookings from it per year. Works out quite nice. It's a nice wee earner. But yeah, I would say the majority of mine certainly are in that kind of 15, the feature package, which is like the 15, 20-minute film. That's, for me, it's more like chronological of the day, and then the highlight film is when you get to play about a little bit. But what? So obviously you've got those two packages, and what kind of price point are you at for both of those?
So the first one for the highlight film and the teaser film, that one's around 2,600, and then the add-on with the ceremony and speeches would be 3,100. So an extra 500 quid for the ceremony and speeches. Obviously, I think it depends as well, because if I've got a wedding that's, say, like up north, I'll just chuck on like an extra 150 quid to cover a hotel and like travel costs.
Yeah.
Because if I'm driving, like 4 or 5 hours, I'm not going to be going there in the morning, coming back. So I'll need to stay somewhere. So I'll just add that on. I used to send them the package and be like, oh, I need cover for hotel and travel. Whereas some people would be like, I don't really want, not a lot of people, but like maybe 1 or 2 people have said like, oh, I don't know about the price, and then adding on like 150 or 200 quid for a hotel. So I've just put it in now. I don't say anything, and I just say that's the price that's covered with hotel and like travel costs. Because a lot of people hear like extras and they'll think like, oh, it's just extra money on top. Whereas if you just put it in from the start, that they kind of don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sometimes I guess it kind of like draws people away if they hear like there's extra costs on top of your package,
Being comfortable at not selling a longer form because it doesn't necessarily fit your style. Like I find with my longer films, it dilutes it down a little bit. It's absolutely not an afterglow film at that point once I do a longer film, because it's impossible to keep the energy going for that length of time. So although like I do offer it because I guess in myself, I'm thinking, am I losing business by not offering that? Like, I know from my own wedding film, I got a 10-minute wedding film and I absolutely loved it. And I actually haven't looked at any of the other footage that I've got, because I had a friend do it, so they've got all the footage. Haven't looked at any of the footage. I thought in my head before I wanted it, I'm so satisfied with the 10-minute film that I got. But it's relaying that message beforehand to saying, okay, so you're going to pay this money, you're going to have me there all day, and I'm going to get an 8 to 10-minute film. Does that...
But I think it's just, it depends on like, because for you guys, obviously that 5-minute film or whatever, that's the product, like that's you, the brand, that's your film kind of thing. But also by giving them, for instance, like that doc edit or whatever, they will they're going to see so much more of the day, and it's like, I think that also is like really, it will also be important to a lot of people, just to see like how the actual day panned out just normally, and not having that kind of like creative spin on it as well,
Yeah.
Because they'll see so many more people in there, they'll get to hear them, that's certainly what I do with the doc edits, is include as much usable in-camera audio as possible. And a lot obviously less creatively, so there's like longer form shots in there so they can hear more of the conversations, so
yeah. But it's good to know that if you don't know necessarily what your style would be for that you don't offer it, but you're still getting the bookings because they've fallen in love with the product that you offer, and that's what they're signing up for. So that's good. How many are you doing a year roughly?
Roughly around 20.
Around 20, yeah.
I'd say. I'd probably go up to about 30 at a push.
Yeah.
I've not done 30 yet, but if I got the bookings in for say next year and it went up to 30, I'd probably cap it at 30.
Yeah.
Because I do take a lot of time to like do the edits and stuff, and I feel like even just more than 30, that's 30 couples you've got to think about.
Yeah.
So that's 30 couples that you've got in your head. You've got to like just things like remembering them and just like building that relationship. So it's a lot of people to deal with, I guess, isn't it? So I think I'd go up to 30. I think that would be the limit, and I think I'd be able to work with that in terms of like doing the editing and stuff. Because I mean, edits for me maybe could take. I see it totally depends. Because I've done edits in 4 days. I've done edits in like 2-3 weeks. It totally depends. I don't think you should stretch yourself too far, so that you're just burning out and you're working 24/7, rushing edits. Because that's the last thing you want to do, is rush and edit. You don't want to send someone a film, it's rushed, it's just not up to scratch. So I always say to my couples, like, turnaround time is usually anywhere between 8 and 12 weeks. And I say, if it takes me a little bit longer, I'll just let you know. Like, I don't want to, last thing I want to do is send you a rush film. But it needs to be perfect. If I need to take an extra week or 2 weeks or whatever, then so that they know that prior to booking and stuff as well. But I'll take my time with it.
That's good. Yeah, I was thinking it definitely for the more complicated edits, like between 20 and 30, gives you that breathing space a little bit to kind of separate the films out. It's definitely, the fast-paced edits definitely take a lot more clips, so they can be, they definitely can be chopped up.
One thing that we were wanting to, I guess, chat to you about as well was like, I guess the relationship between you and like the photographer, because obviously like with your style being like so upbeat and fun and energetic and stuff. So I guess first of all, like, do you find that you are most of the time paired with like, let's say, a like-minded photographer?
Now, so yes, I'd say. Back in the day, maybe a couple of years ago, I feel like some of the time it was chalk and cheese. You know, I had one in London, and the photographer was very, those like dramatic poses and like getting the massive light out, and it was just very different. But that was in my first year, so I was still experimenting and discovering my style and stuff. So now that I've got my portfolio how I want it, and it just attracts the type of couples that want a kind of more upbeat and fun film, they're going to think that about the photographer as well. Like, all right, we need a photographer that's going to be, but I mean, most of the time they'll book the photographer first anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then they'll come to me and they'll want a fun video. So I think nowadays I'm always paired with photographers that want something a bit more fun and aren't too like staged or anything like that, which is good. It always helps on the day, doesn't it, to have a photographer that you can work well with and you're on the same page with.
Yeah.
You don't want to work with someone that wants a complete different style, because then photographer might do one thing, posing this way or the other, and then you want something else, and it's just going to be a bit of a weird dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's I've definitely been paired with some photographers in the past. I remember we sat down for dinner, like when the guests were having their speeches, and he was very like polished and posed and very sort of just complete opposite. And I made them like dance about like crazy in the morning. And we sat at dinner and like, how the hell did this happen? Like, why did we get booked together? Just as it was confusing. But and you kind of I always tell the couple, like, I never want to like take as much time as we need to kind of do the couple shoot. I usually work around the photographer. If I can encourage movement in their shots, that's when I can get it. But sometimes it doesn't happen. So how do you find working on days like that, like to sort of change the mood from one feeling to another feeling? Because sometimes you're going from very elegant to very like just
everybody in the house.
yeah
Getting twerky and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think it all comes down to the relationship that you have with the couple as well. So from the get-go, from like when I arrive on the day, I make sure I'm always just friendly and just act like I'm their mate as well. And I feel like it just gets their personality out of them. Like what one of the photographers said videographers that second shot for me was like, you've just got such a unique way of making people feel comfortable. And I was like, I mean, I don't know how. I just enjoy the day with people and stuff. But I feel like that helps just getting that personality out of them and making them feel more comfortable. But also help like going into the couple shoots, they'll just be more comfortable with you. They'll just be themselves. They'll probably just have a laugh and be more fun with it. So I think it definitely comes from when you arrive on the day and just giving off good vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's like paramount.
Yeah.
To be honest, to be able to get them to because they're kind of they're on your side rather than, and they won't be like, oh, who the fuck is this guy who's want to get me like twerking or like doing a handstand or something. But like if you've got that relationship, then you can afford to be like have that banter with them and be a bit cheekier with stuff,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to bounce off of their energy too. If you feel like they're not going to be wanting to twerk and shit, then you can't push the boundaries too much.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have to just I feel like you just have to take in like what they're like as a couple as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But that goes back to like how your films are all unique. It's not like a cookie cutter. It's, you know, it's individual to each couple, and you know, different couples will have different levels of twerking.
That's definitely true.
Exactly.
It's funny though, like thinking back to that when we were in that Ireland workshop in October. I think did you put it up as like a reel or something? It was quite funny because obviously like it's this very glamorous, you know, like big castle and stuff like that, and like you've got all these like editorial, because you've got a collective mix of like editorial, maybe more traditional, and then obviously like kind of like fun and energetic. But the fun and energetic ones were a hell of a lot less than like maybe like the the kind of editorial ones or whatever. So they're all getting them to, you know, do like all this like, you know, like, you know, stuff like all this. And then Jason's like, I mean, I can't get any of this. So then he's like, after a while, he's like, right, fuck this. And then he's like, there's a shot of him just going past and like, right, I just want you hands in the air, just waving, just doing mad shit. And he's just like, there's a shot. The one was it the Nate took, and it was like he's comes with along with the gimbal. He's like, everybody in the house tonight.
Just point at the camera. I'm just gonna run past you. Just point at me and just.
me.
Yeah,
That's so good.
It's no,
it worked though, because the stuff you got from that was like, and they loved it. They were like, because obviously it was so chalk and cheese to what they had been doing.
Yeah.
I think they were quite happy to just get a break from the seriousness.
I think I don't know if you're anything like me, Chris, but when you basically shoot a bunch of stuff in the day without really a plan, and then it's like you get the edit suite, and that's when it kind of comes together. Like, you know, some things are going to work together, but you're just trying to think of as many different variations of how stupid can I make this bit, or how can we have fun with this bit here, and it kind of just comes together. Like, that's when I'm driving to a wedding, I feel nervous every time, because I don't know how today's gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna get them on my side. I don't know if I'm gonna get like them being like, if they're gonna be nervous, are they gonna want to have fun? It always does. It works out in the end, but you're just collecting you know, I guess it's the same for everyone, to be fair, but you're just kind of, there's that expectation that, you know, there's a fun energy there. Like, is it going to connect? But yeah, when you're going into the edit, it is just a case of putting the wild things together somehow in a cohesive way.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I have a plan. Sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think I posted it on my Instagram last week, and the couple they're big Arsenal fans, super into football, and when I'd spoken to them prior, they were like, "Oh, if you can add anything in the video to do with football, but you know, that'd be great." That was the brief. So I mean, I ran with that. I think I was in a spin class one day, and I was just cycling in the spin class, being light bulb moment. So I did a match day intro for their wedding film. So I basically had like the bridesmaids and groomsmen like walking onto the pitch. I had like a team photo. I had them playing football. I had a football in my boots. So I had them playing football at the venue.
Yes.
Like, I basically made like a intro for like a football match, which was their actual wedding video intro. So things like that, I had a plan for. I'd say 90% of the plan, I'm just going to the day to capture it, and then you know, the magic comes in the edit.
Yeah.
But where for my films, I always have like a fun intro for the wedding films. There's always got to be something that's fun. That's not something you can plan, you know. That just has to be on the day, and when you see it, it's like that's what I'm putting at the start, you know. You want something upbeat. This is just going to make people laugh. So you have people on the dance floor, or it might just be like a funny bit of a speech or something. So those bits come on the day, and then you kind of just piece it together in the edit. Sometimes you plan it. I think it totally depends.
Yeah. I love it when people kind of give you, you know, a lot of their interests. I had there's a film that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks where they were massively into F1. So I'm making them a Drive to Survive type wedding film, where we've done the interviews. We had, you know, a Martin Brundle type guy going around doing a grid walk asking questions. There's a story that appeared in that became something I didn't even think of. I got the celebrant to script out like a sort of voiceover for it. So there's ideas there sometimes that they give you a lot of brief, but yeah, half the time it is just kind of wing it on the day and hope that the stuff comes. But the football thing is great. I need to pack a football. I think it'd be great. I've done a couple scrums with rugby people.
Yeah, just pack loads of props in your car just in case.
Yeah.
Oh. No, the groom like 2 foot slide tackles the bride, breaks her ankle or something.
Hey, that'll go viral. That'll give me a couple million views.
Also the shortest marriage known to man.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. So that's what I do for every wedding. I just think, oh, what can I do differently? And I think it's nice to do things differently sometimes. So yeah, don't be afraid. Just get creative. That's the job that we're in. It's a creative job. So you don't have to stick to one rule book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't need to. I think that because I certainly the films that I make are more generally of what the rest of the market make, and it can be quite hard to stand out from the noise there, and that is where things like your branding, etc., need to kind of be spot on to help you stand out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for you guys in terms of what you do, it's the work itself helps you stand out from the noise. So yeah, it's a great bit of advice. Just get experimenting. I know certainly this is my year of experimentation. So I'm gonna try and I'm looking at the moment at trying to get I put a wee post up in the UK videographers chat the other day just about getting maybe like a camera to give to like the bridesmaids and maybe like the grooms and stuff, just to see how that
That's a good idea.
out from like a different dynamics. I'd quite like to. I think you could get some really good stuff from that. Certainly as well if you give like a little bit of guidance to whoever's holding the camera in terms of what maybe you're looking for, and I think you could pull out some really good stuff from that. Like messages.
I think that's a good idea, and I think there's so many different ways. Yeah, like guest messages and things like that. You could probably get so much good content from just doing little interviews and things like that. Can't you? So there's a million avenues you can go down. Like I've got loads of saved things on Instagram with just like random ideas, like not even wedding related. But there's so much you can do with it. So I think just getting creative, like just try things out, and that's good that you're kind of having more of an experimental year.
Yeah,
just like trying to do different things. I think that's really good for us videographers.
Well, Chris, it's been so good getting to chat to you today, man. I think it's like a really, really good conversation. I think it'll be an epic pod for people to listen to. Loads of good nuggets in here. For those of our listeners that again maybe don't know who you are, where can they find out a bit more about you?
Instagram, Chris Jerome James, website chrisjeromejames.com. Chris
Nice
Jerome
and
James
easy.
everything at gmail.com, all of that.
Nice and easy.
One.
Happy days. Well, yeah. If you haven't looked at Chris's stuff, go and have a look at it because it is brilliant, and definitely go check out that website because it's phenomenal. And again, if I had a hat, I would take it off to you for doing that website yourself because that's epic, man.
So good.
I don't know how I would do that.
Well, that wraps up this guest episode for That Wedding Videographer Podcast. I've been Danny.
I've been Jace.
And I've been Chris.
Yeah.
Here we go.
We'll see you next week, folks.
Bye, guys.